It's kind of strange, isn't it? We spend so much time, so much of our energy earning money.
Yeah, absolutely. We know our work inside out.
Right. Your boss's name, company structure, payday,
Hmm.
all that. But then ask someone, hey, where did your money actually go last month?
And often,
Mm.
blank faces or just a vague guess.
Mm.
How much did you save? Where are you really heading financially?
Exactly. It feels like you're stuck in this dense financial jungle, maybe holding a map, but it's all torn up. You feel lost.
That feeling of being adrift, it's so common. You don't know where you are in your own financial map.
Cover.
Forget trying to find a path out of debt or just stagnation.
Yeah, or how to just get ahead a little.
And often, it's not until something big happens, right?
Eh,
A crisis hits, job loss, maybe an illness, some major life event.
oh,
And
definitely.
suddenly you realize, wow, I have no tools, no clear picture of my own money situation. You're just reacting.
And that's the core challenge, isn't it? This feeling of just floating along, reacting, which is why today's deep dive feels so important. We're looking into personal financial management, but specifically through this really insightful idea of a personal financial notebook.
Right. This comes from the Two Tongue Nen YouTube channel. They did a great deep dive on it.
Yeah, the title was So Tai Tai Ching Kan Nan 7 Trangban Tai Chin Ju Ban Kim Satong Tian. And our mission today.
Well, our mission is to unpack how something pretty simple, I mean, just a notebook or maybe an Excel file if you prefer,
Right.
how that can become your personal living map, and also a kind of mirror reflecting your habits.
And the goal isn't about suddenly cutting everything back, living on bread and water.
No, not at all. It's about getting clear, understanding how your money flows, so you
Hmm.
can shift from feeling overwhelmed and reactive
To being proactive.
to control.
Exactly. It's about empowering you to consciously design your own personal financial ecosystem.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The core problem, as we touched on, is this weird disconnect. We know work stuff intimately.
Yeah, down to the last detail sometimes. But our own money, exact spending, savings, where we actually stand, often it's just fuzzy. We're holding that torn map in the financial jungle.
Lost in debt, maybe, or just feeling stuck. No clear way forward.
So why not start with something simple? That's the idea, right? The personal financial notebook.
Precisely. It's
Mm.
just a dedicated space. You write down your income, you track your expenses, really shine a light there, list your debts, and actually spell out your financial dreams.
And what makes it work, what's transformative, isn't just that it's simple, it's that it acts like a living mirror.
Yeah.
It's not about rigid rules or making yourself miserable. It's about seeing your actual financial behavior reflected back at you.
Hmm. And that seeing that clarity you get from writing it down,
That's the key.
that's the direct path to control. It lets you actively design your financial life instead of just, letting it happen to you.
It's a total shift in perspective, really. It's not just control spending.
No, it's about directing your money flow. And the source makes a great point. You don't need to be some financial whiz kid or an entrepreneur or even good at math.
Right.
You just need the notebook and the commitment to use it correctly. That's the foundation.
So what does this mean for you listening right now? It means we're going to walk through 7 key pages. These pages build that personal financial ecosystem.
Let's start at the beginning. Page 1.
Page 1, the income page. This is like the bloodline of your whole financial system.
Good analogy.
Yeah. Income isn't just money coming in, it's the fuel for everything else, all your life choices. If your financial ecosystem is a body, income is the blood.
Makes sense. Without that flow, nothing else works properly.
Yeah.
Right? You can't invest, you can't pay down debt, you can't build savings if your income barely covers the basics.
And the thing is, what's often missed here is that most people just think, salary, that's my income, end of story.
Right. They overlook so many other potential streams.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're small, hidden in plain sight, or just not thought of as real income.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, you've got your active income salary, sure, but maybe tutoring, selling crafts, side gigs. Then there's passive income rent, dividends, royalties, where money works for you.
Okay.
And don't forget irregular or unexpected income, bonuses, gifts, maybe seasonal work you do.
And listing these out, categorizing them, it's not just bookkeeping.
Not at all. It helps you see how much you rely on trading your time for money versus building sources that generate income more independently. It's about understanding your path towards financial freedom.
So for this page, what are the key things to do?
Okay, 3 main practices. First, categorize clearly. Active, passive, irregular. Keep them separate.
Got it.
Second, track consistently and analyze. Record the income as it comes in, maybe daily or weekly, definitely tally monthly, but then step back quarterly, look at the trends. Which streams are growing, shrinking? What needs attention?
Makes sense. And the third?
Strategic linkage. This is crucial. Your income isn't just for paying bills today. It's meant to fuel your goals.
Right. Connect it to the future.
Connect it to your investment plans, your debt payoff strategy, maybe acquiring skills that increase future income. It's not just how much you have, but where's that income actually taking you?
Let's make this real. There's a great story from the source about Mrs. Lone. She's a 42-year-old middle school teacher in Hatin.
Yeah, her story really highlights this. For years, things were tough. Her salary was modest, maybe 6 million VND a month.
Which isn't a lot to live on.
No. And her husband's income as an assistant builder was unstable. So they were always just scraping by, often just short.
Just covering basics. That's a stressful way to live.
Definitely. Then the turning point came in 2021. Her husband had an accident at work.
Oh, no.
Yeah, needed over 2 months in the hospital and obviously no income during that time. Suddenly they're facing huge bills, empty pockets.
And she realized she had no idea where they stood financially.
Exactly. No clarity at all. Didn't know what they'd spent, what savings they thought they had, how they'd manage. Panic stations.
So what did she do? She started writing things down.
She did. At first, just the obvious. Her salary, food costs, medical bills. But then she started adding everything else, meticulously. Small amounts from evening tutoring, grading papers for other schools, selling some ornamental plants she grew, even cooking and delivering food for neighbors.
Wow. Okay. Lots of little things.
Little things. Maybe 100,000 VND here, 300,000 there. Seemed insignificant on their own.
But when she wrote them down,
They became clear. And here's the shocker. She added it all up. Those small sources,
yeah,
they amounted to nearly 3 million VND extra per month.
that's huge. Almost half her salary again. Hidden income.
Hidden income. It makes you wonder how many of us overlook these little streams because they don't feel big enough to track.
Good point. Did she stop there?
Nope, she got inspired. She created a separate page just for new income ideas. Her daughter suggested selling bangoi, a local snack.
Okay.
She tried it, wrote down the recipes, ingredient cost, tracked every sale. 6 months later, it was like a mini brand in her village.
That's amazing. What a turnaround.
It really is. From just relying on her salary, Miss Lone now has 5 distinct income streams. And she said something really powerful.
What was that?
She said, "It's not that I worked more, but thanks to the notebook, I saw how much potential I had ignored."
Wow. That's the income page in action. Writing it down reveals the possibilities.
Exactly. Start writing, start seeing.
Okay, so once you've mapped your income, that lifeblood, the next logical step is figuring out where it's all going. Where is it flowing out?
That leads us to page 2, the expense page.
Right, because, like they say, if your spending is out of control, it's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes.
A leaking bucket, yeah. Doesn't matter how much water you pour in, how high your income is, if it's leaking out faster, you'll always feel poor.
And how many times have you asked yourself, end of the month, where did all my money go?
All the time. And without tracking, you just can't answer that question properly.
So this expense page, it's like that mirror you mentioned earlier.
It really is.
Yeah.
It reflects your spending habits, your lifestyle, your day-to-day financial choices. It shows you the reality.
Okay, so how do you set this page up effectively? What are the key principles?
Well, 3 main things. First, clear categorization. Don't just lump things together like food or transport.
Be more specific.
Yeah. Differentiate. Is it essential spending? Is it for improvement, like a course or a book? Is it emotional spending? Is it just wasteful? Or is it unconscious spending?
Unconscious spending. Like what?
Like that daily bubble tea or coffee. Maybe it feels like an emotional treat, which is one thing. But if you're grabbing it every day without even thinking and not tracking it,
it becomes an unconscious drain. Okay, that makes sense. What's the second principle?
Awareness over exhaustion, especially when you're starting out. Don't feel you have to track every single penny. That could be overwhelming.
Yeah, that sounds like a recipe for giving up quickly.
Right. Instead, focus on the recurring silent drains, the things that erode your finances without making a big noise. Daily coffees, yeah. Delivery fees that add up. Subscriptions you forgot about but are still paying for. Eating out frequently when you could pack a lunch. Little leaks.
I remember tracking my own daily coffee once. Just the coffee. It was eye-opening. And not in a good way. It really is a silent drain.
It absolutely is. And the third principle, connect expenses to goals.
Ah, linking it back again.
Always. Every
Yeah.
time you spend money, it's a choice. You're choosing something today over potentially something else tomorrow.
So seeing that connection.
Seeing that connection helps you self-adjust naturally. You start thinking, okay, this purchase takes me further from my goal of X. It's less about forcing yourself to cut back painfully and more about aligning spending with what you truly want long term. The notebook just shows you the leaks.
Okay, let's look at another example. Mr. Dung, a 33-year-old freelance mechanic in Bien Ho.
Yeah, his story is classic. Earned decent money, 10 to 12 million VND a month. Should have been comfortable.
But he wasn't?
No. Constantly running out of cash, borrowing from friends, family, even had to pawn his motorbike at one point.
Wow. What did he think the problem was?
He blamed his income. Thought it was too low.
But then something changed.
Yeah, his barber friend gave him a challenge. Said something like, look, just try tracking your spending for a week. I bet the problem isn't your income, it's where the money's going.
So did he take the challenge?
He did. Got a small notebook, started writing down everything, 25,000 V&D for coffee, 40,000 for breakfast and smokes, 30,000 for lunch, another 20,000 for an afternoon drink.
The small stuff adds up.
It does. Plus 350,000 for weekend beers, a 1 million VND phone installment. All of it.
Okay, so after a month of this, what did he find?
He was absolutely shocked,
Oh.
floored. Over 4 million VND, 4 million, had gone on coffee, drinks, just sort of unconscious eating out.
Wow.
And nearly another 3 million vanished into that phone installment, streaming apps he barely used, other forgotten purchases.
So wait, that's almost 7 million VND in 1 month.
Almost 7 million, nearly a whole month's salary for him. Just gone, evaporated, without him really noticing until he wrote it down.
That's staggering. It shows how easy it is for money to just slip away if you're not watching.
Totally. So what did he do? He didn't just get depressed about it.
He took action.
He took action. Recategorized his spending immediately. Essential, improvement, emotional, unconscious. Then set a clear goal, cut 30% of those unconscious costs.
And put that money somewhere else.
Yeah, redirect it to savings or maybe learning a new skill for his mechanic work. He even put his weekly expense totals up near his bed.
As a reminder.
A constant physical reminder of his progress and his goal.
So what happened? Did it work?
It did. Took about 8 months. He paid off the phone completely. And the best part, he used the savings from cutting those unnecessary expenses to buy back his pawned motorbike.
That's fantastic. He must have felt so much better.
Way more in control, and his insight is spot on. He said, tracking expenses didn't make me rich immediately, but it stopped me from getting poorer.
That's it, isn't it? It stops the bleeding. It shines a light. Okay, so we've got income mapped, expenses tracked. What's next? Often it's debt. Let's turn to page 3, the debt page.
Right. And there's a powerful saying the source uses. If you don't plan for debt, debt will plan your bankruptcy.
Oof. That's blunt, but true.
Often, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily having debt that's the killer. It's not knowing the full extent of it or not having a clear plan to tackle it. That's the real danger.
That hidden danger. You mean things people don't even think of as debt.
Exactly. It can be subtle. People live with this illusion of control because maybe no one's banging on their door today.
Right.
But those unreported loans from friends, credit card balances creeping up, those little pay later app advances, they accumulate silently.
Like a hidden weight.
A hidden weight creates this invisible burden, and then, boom, something unexpected happens, and the whole house of cards can collapse because the foundation was weaker than you realized.
So this debt page, it's not about feeling guilty.
No, definitely not for self-blame. It's about facing reality, confronting it, measuring it, and then, crucially, controlling your obligations.
Okay, 3 key principles here too.
Yep. First, comprehensive recording. List everything. Formal debts like bank loans, mortgages, but also informal stuff, money owed to friends, family, those installment plans, e-wallet advances, everything,
Include all the details.
all of them. Principal amount, interest rate, repayment term, who the lender is, and really important, what are the consequences if you pay late, as the source puts it.
The debt you don't record is the debt you don't control.
Exactly. Second principle, categorize the debt by its health.
Health. How can debt be healthy?
Well, think good debt versus bad debt. Good debt is typically borrowing that strategically invests in something that will generate future income or appreciate in value.
Like a student loan for a degree that boosts earning power, or a mortgage on a rental property.
Potentially, yes, if done strategically. The key is it's an investment. Bad debt, on the other hand, fuels immediate consumption, often of things that lose value or just enables living beyond your means.
High interest credit cards for stuff. Payday loans.
Classic examples of bad debt. Each type needs a different management plan, and understanding why it's good or bad helps you prioritize.
Okay. And the third principle.
A strategic repayment plan. Don't just vaguely hope to pay it off, get specific. Set timelines for each debt.
And prioritize.
Definitely prioritize. Usually, you tackle the high-interest bad debts first, or maybe the ones causing the most stress. And critically, update your progress regularly. Track those payments. Celebrate the milestones. You can't close those doors if you ignore them.
We saw this play out with Mrs. Han, right? The 29-year-old accountant in Saigon.
Yes, her story is a stark reminder. On the surface, things look fine. Salary around 14 million VND a month seemed stable.
Contributing to family, living okay?
Yeah, ate well, shopped a bit, occasional travel. Looked like she had it together. No obvious financial problems.
But then, the layoff.
Then the layoff. Her company suddenly cut staff.
Mm.
And that's when the reality hit her. Hard.
She realized she had debt she hadn't really acknowledged.
A lot of it.
Mm.
Nearly 50 million VND scattered across 5 different places.
5. Wow. Like what?
Okay, get this. 23 million on a phone installment plan. 15 million racked up on online credit card purchases. 10 million she'd borrowed from a friend months before and kind of forgotten about.
Oh, dear.
Plus, small weekly advances from an e-wallet and an 8 million VND consumer loan from an app that was charging almost 2 million a month in installments.
And she hadn't written any of this down.
Not a single note.
Mm.
No tracking, no plan. It was all just floating around in her head, or maybe not even there.
So when the income stopped,
Panic.
total panic initially, overwhelmed by the number of debts, the total amount. But then she spoke to a financial advisor.
And the first step was
Write it all down, meticulously, every single debt, what it was for, who she owed, the amount, the interest, the due date, everything.
And that must have been painful, seeing it all listed out.
It was a shock, absolutely.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing. Even though the total was scary, the act of listing it, of seeing it clearly on paper, it actually gave her a sense of control she hadn't felt before.
Okay, knowledge is power, even if the knowledge is scary at first. Exactly. So she got to work. Contacted her friend, set up a clear 2-month repayment schedule. Used her severance pay to immediately clear that high-interest consumer loan app debt.
Smart move.
Cut up the credit cards well, stopped using them anyway, and created a detailed 6-month plan to systematically tackle everything else.
How'd it go?
Just 5 months later, she'd paid off 90% of it. 90%.
Wow. That's incredible progress.
But even more important than the money was the feeling. No more dreading unknown phone calls. No more that background hum of anxiety from hidden obligations.
That mental freedom must be huge.
Huge. And her reflection on it is so powerful. She said, not writing it down, I still lived, but in invisible fatigue. Only when I wrote it down did I feel lighter each day.
Invisible fatigue. That's a great way to put it. Controlling debt frees up your mind.
Absolutely. And that mental freedom is the perfect foundation for the next stage, the next page. Investment.
Okay, page 4, the investment page. Now, this feels like where things get proactive, where you start building.
Definitely. The core idea here from the source is pretty stark. Money that just sits there doing nothing. It often loses value over time. Inflation eats away at it. You miss opportunities. It's like it's dying slowly.
Right, but money that's invested strategically.
That money works for you. It grows, potentially. This page is about planting those financial seeds for your future, methodically.
But investing, isn't that complicated or risky? A lot of people have misconceptions, right?
Oh, absolutely. Huge misconceptions. Some think it's only for the super rich. You need millions or billions to even start.
Yeah, I don't have enough money to invest.
Exactly. Or the opposite fear, that it's basically just gambling and you're guaranteed to lose everything, so they just stick to savings accounts.
But the reality, according to the source,
The reality is, investing isn't just for the wealthy. It's actually a necessary step for most ordinary people if they want to break out of just getting by or relying solely on salary increases.
and you don't need a fortune to start.
Not at all. It can start incredibly small, maybe 500,000 VND a month into a stable mutual fund, or investing in yourself a course to improve your skills and earn more.
Or even buying a tool for a side hustle.
Yeah, like that example, buying a high-power lawnmower to rent out or a juice press to start selling drinks online. Those are investments too. They generate income.
So the key is, whatever it is, big or small, you record it.
You absolutely have to record it. This investment page isn't just a shopping list of what you bought. It needs to capture 3 crucial things.
Okay, what are they?
First, your investment goal. Why are you making this investment? Is it purely for profit, capital preservation? Is it about learning a new market? Or specifically to expand your income streams?
Got it. Goal first. Second.
Your risk tolerance. Be honest with yourself. How much volatility can you handle without panicking? How much are you genuinely willing to lose, especially if it's a learning experience?
Hmm. Important self-reflection. And third,
Allocation. How much of your regular cash flow are you dedicating to investments? What percentage? And are you diversifying, spreading your risk, or are you putting all your eggs in one basket?
and the benefit of tracking all this isn't just seeing if you won or lost.
No, it's much deeper. It's about learning from every single investment. The record shows you what's actually working for you. What might have been an emotional buy versus a strategic one. What investment models fit your personality and financial stage. When maybe it's time to cut losses or reallocate.
So it's like tending a garden. You see what thrives, what needs water, what needs pruning.
Exactly. You're building your financial garden, not just throwing seeds randomly and hoping for the best.
Let's look at Mr. Tai, the 45-year-old irrigation engineer in Canton. His story illustrates this well.
Yeah, he was his picture of stability, good income, nearly 20 million VND a month. He and his wife were diligent savers.
Saving 3 to 5 million a month. Right, for 10 years.
Yep, saved up about 50 million VND over that decade. Lived comfortably, no debt, seemed secure.
But then life happened again.
Life happened. His father got seriously ill, needed long-term expensive treatment, and nearly all those savings, that decade of careful accumulation, gone. Vanished in just 4 months.
Wow. That must have been devastating to save for so long and see it disappear like that.
It shook him deeply. That feeling of helplessness, despite having been so responsible with saving, it made him question everything.
So after his father passed, he reevaluated.
Completely reevaluated his whole approach to money. He actually created a dedicated investment page in his notebook.
Yeah, and what did he put on it?
First, he calculated how much he'd saved, the interest earned, but then, crucially, he factored in inflation over those 10 years.
Ah, the silent killer of saving.
Exactly. And then he compared. What could that money have become if he'd invested it? Maybe in a piece of suburban land back then, or a small local business 5 years ago.
And the comparison was?
Shocking. He realized his diligently saved money had actually been losing purchasing power every single year, silently shrinking.
So that spurred him into action, a different kind of action.
A completely different approach. He started making small, strategic investments. Took a small share in a local coffee shop, started putting 1 million VND a month into a mutual fund.
Diversifying already.
Yep. Bought that powerful lawnmower to rent out on weekends. Even invested in himself by taking a personal finance course.
And all of this went onto the investment page.
Meticulously. Each one recorded with the goal, the expected return, the perceived risks, the start date, and importantly, a date set to review its performance.
So what was the outcome? What's the transformation?
After about 2 years, the income from these side investments was already 5 times what he was earning in bank interest on his remaining savings. 5 times.
That's a significant difference.
Huge. But more than the money, he said he felt more financially mature, less fearful about money, more proactive.
And he had a great quote, didn't he?
He did. He said, "When I let money sit still, it died slowly. When I made money work, it nourished me back. Investment isn't always winning, but each time I record, it's a lesson."
Each time I record, it's a lesson. That's powerful, learning through doing and documenting. Okay, so you're tracking income, managing expenses, dealing with debt, starting to invest. But where is all this leading? That brings us to page 5, the financial goals page.
Your compass.
Yeah.
This page is absolutely vital. The concept is straightforward. If you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you astray.
Or nowhere useful.
Right. Clear financial goals give you that destination. They tell you why you're doing all this tracking and managing.
But don't most people have goals like, I want to buy a house?
They have dreams, maybe? Vague aspirations? Buy a house someday? Be secure in old age?
But that's not enough.
It's not concrete enough. Without specifics, how much money do you need for that house? By when do you want to buy it? How will you get the down payment? What resources will you use? Without those details, it's just an illusion.
An unclear goal leads to an unclear plan, or no plan at all.
Exactly, you just drift. So the purpose of this page is to take those fuzzy dreams and turn them into concrete, measurable, actionable plans.
How should you structure these goals?
A good way is by time frame. Start with short-term goals, things you want to achieve in the next, say, 3 to 12 months.
Like buying a new laptop, paying off one specific credit card, saving your first 20 million.
Perfect examples. They need to be specific, quantifiable, and directly linked to your current income and expense reality, things you can realistically tackle soon.
Okay. Then midterm?
Midterm goals, maybe 1 to 3 years out. Buying a better motorbike, pursuing further education, starting a small side business. These should connect to where you want your career or income to go.
Building blocks for the future. And
Well,
long term.
long term is 3+ years. This is where the big dreams live. Buying that house, planning for early retirement, achieving a certain level of financial freedom by a specific age.
And these long-term goals act as the main compass.
They're the strategic compass guiding all your shorter-term actions and decisions today.
Now, the source mentions something really useful here, a cash flow diagram for each goal.
Yes, this is a key element that makes the goals page so practical. For each goal, map it out visually, or at least numerically. How much total money is needed? How much do you have saved towards it right now? What's the gap? And brainstorm, how can you accelerate closing that gap?
Seeing that roadmap must be incredibly motivating.
Immensely.
Yeah.
It takes it from wishful thinking to a tangible plan. And the act of writing these goals down, planning for them, it fundamentally shifts your whole mindset.
How so?
You move from just reacting to bills and spending on impulse to proactively accumulating resources for things you genuinely want. You shift from living only for today to consciously preparing for tomorrow.
It's interesting the source notes that sometimes it's younger people without much money yet who really nail this goal-setting page, like Miss the Sue, the student in Hugh.
Yes, her story is so inspiring because she started so early and with so little, came from a low-income farming family.
Got about 2 million VND a month from home, right?
Right. But she hustled scholarships, tutoring, small online sales to supplement that. Her friends thought she was maybe too serious, planning everything out.
Because she started keeping a financial notebook way back in her second year of university.
Exactly. A detailed one. And on her goals page, she had 12 specific financial goals listed out.
12. Wow. How are they structured?
Broken down by time frame, just like we discussed. Each one listed the amount needed, the target completion date, where the funds would come from, and even contingency plans.
Seriously planned. Like, what was an example?
Okay, a short-term one.
Huh.
Buy a used laptop for 5 million VND, funded by savings from tutoring, aiming to get it within 6 months. Midterm. Focus on studying to keep your scholarship, reducing the need to work so many side jobs. Long-term. Save 50 million VND within 2 years of graduating and starting teaching, using salary and online tutoring income.
That's incredibly specific for a student. And she had a unique method, too.
Yeah, she didn't just write the list. She drew progress charts for her major goals, little bar graphs or timelines.
Visualizing progress.
Exactly. And she updated them every month. Said it made her feel like she wasn't just drifting, but actively building her life, designing it herself with clear direction.
What was the result by the time she graduated?
By age 22, she'd hit those goals, bought the laptop with savings, had 11 million already saved towards her longer-term targets, and crucially, she'd developed financial planning skills that, frankly, many people much older and earning more still lack.
That's incredible, and her quote really sums it up.
It does. No one taught me to write financial goals, but when I wrote them, I understood I deserved a life designed by myself, not swept away by life's current.
A life designed by myself. Powerful. Okay, so you're designing your life, aiming for goals. But life throws curveballs. How do you protect that design?
That leads perfectly to page 6, the fund system page, your financial shield.
Shield, I like that. Because many people work hard, maybe even invest a bit.
Right, but then a relatively small crisis hits: unexpected illness, job loss, family emergency.
And everything collapses.
Everything can collapse. Not because they were lazy or didn't earn enough, but because they lacked defense layers. They had no financial armor.
So this page is about building that armor proactively.
Exactly. Its purpose is to protect you from those unforeseen events by deliberately organizing your money flow. It's like creating your own personal insurance policy without the formal contract.
We learn how to earn, but maybe not how to protect what we earn.
Precisely. We're often not taught how to save strategically, how to divide money for different purposes, how to buffer against shocks. This page fixes that.
So what are the core funds we need to build? The source mentions 4.
4 core funds, yes. Essential for pretty much everyone, regardless of income. First, the big one, your emergency fund.
How much should be in there?
The standard advice is at least 3 to 6 months worth of essential living expenses. Food, utilities, rent mortgage, minimum debt payments, bare bones survival costs.
And where should you keep it?
Somewhere easily accessible in an emergency, but not so easy. You dip into it for everyday things. Take a separate high-yield savings account, not linked to your main debit card.
Okay, emergency fund. What's number two?
A health family risk fund. This is specifically for unexpected medical bills or urgent family needs that might pop up.
Why separate from the main emergency fund?
So a health crisis doesn't completely wipe out your buffer for, say, a job loss. It keeps different types of risks compartmentalized. You don't want one event depleting funds meant for another potential crisis.
Makes sense. Fund three.
The life maintenance fund. This is for those larger expenses that aren't emergencies, but they are predictable, eventually.
Like what?
Yeah.
Car repairs, replacing the washing machine, home maintenance.
Exactly. Things you know will happen someday, but you don't know exactly when. By saving a small amount regularly for these, you avoid being caught off guard and having to dip into emergency funds or go into debt when they inevitably occur.
Planning for the inevitable. Smart. And the fourth fund.
This one's interesting. The opportunity fund.
Ooh, what's that for?
This is money set aside specifically to seize time-sensitive opportunities that could significantly benefit you.
Like a great deal on an asset, a valuable course offered at a discount, buying inventory cheap.
Precisely. Financially savvy people often have cash ready for these moments. Others just watch the opportunities fly by because they're unprepared. This fund ensures you can act when a good chance appears.
Okay, so having these four funds clearly defined and funded, what's the main benefit?
It dramatically reduces financial anxiety. It gives you clarity and peace of mind. You know you have buffers in place.
It doesn't make you rich overnight, though.
No, not at all. But it absolutely prevents sudden impoverishment. It keeps you stable, resilient. It allows you to stay on your long-term financial path, even when setbacks occur.
And this isn't just for high earners, is it? The example of Ms. Hong, the textile vendor, really shows that.
Absolutely. In fact, people on lower or variable incomes arguably need these funds more rigorously to protect every single dong they earn. Ms. Hong, 56 years old, selling fabric in Tan Bin Market.
Been doing it nearly 30 years.
Yeah. Not wealthy, she says. But unlike many of her peers who have similar incomes but are always struggling with debt, she always seems to have cash when needed.
What's her secret? Splitting money early.
That's her phrase. Not because I sell more, I just know how to split money early. She developed her own system, born from experience, not a textbook.
What did she do from age 40?
From age 40, she literally used 4 labeled envelopes. Simple but effective.
Labeled what?
One for emergency, she aimed for 3 months' expenses. One for repairs her sewing machine, her market cart. A third for sickness, specifically for her elderly mother's potential needs. And the fourth, opportunity for snapping up good fabric deals when they appeared.
Physical envelopes. Wow. And she was disciplined.
Incredibly disciplined. Added money to them diligently, even when sales were slow. Never touched the money unless it was for its designated purpose.
How did this help her during, say, the pandemic?
It was her lifeline. 2020, the market closes. Many vendors around her went bankrupt, took high-interest loans, sold stock at huge losses.
But Ms. Hong...
Mrs. Hong survived for 3 months using her funds. Paid for food, medicine for her mother, got her machine repaired. She even used her opportunity fund to help a friend with a good deal. Never borrowed money, never sold her precious fabric at a loss.
That's incredible resilience, built on simple envelopes.
Simple, consistent discipline. She laughs about it, saying, I don't need to do big business, don't need to borrow. I just need to not fall behind. Each time something happens, I'm happy I was prepared.
Just need to not fall behind. That's the power of the shield. Amazing. Okay, we've covered income, expenses, debt, investment, goals, and funds. What's left?
The final piece that ties it all together, page 7. The monthly summary page.
Your financial reflection point.
Exactly. The source makes a great point. People often stumble not on the huge, obvious mistakes, but on the small, repetitive patterns they never stop to acknowledge.
The little habits that trip you up over time.
Precisely. This page is where you pause, look back at the whole month, and reflect. Not just on the numbers, but on your mindset, your behaviors.
So its purpose isn't just number crunching.
No, it's deeper. It's about shining a light on your habits, your financial reflexes, your lifestyle choices, reflected in the numbers. We talk so much about planning forward.
But rarely about looking back systematically.
Right. We just keep running. This page forces a pause. Are you actually on the path you set out on? It doesn't need to take hours, but it needs honesty.
What should you cover in the summary? The source suggests 5 core questions.
5 core questions to guide your reflection. First, income. How much came in? From which sources? Was it higher or lower than last month? Any new streams or surprises?
Okay.
Second,
Expenses. How much went out? In which categories? Did you stick to your budget, if you have one? Any areas where you significantly overspent, and critically, any recurring unconscious spending patterns you noticed this month?
Got it. Income, expenses. Third,
Debt. How much did you manage to repay this month? Did you take on any new debt? Are you on track with your repayment plan towards debt freedom?
investment. How much did you invest this month? How are your existing investments performing? Anything need reviewing or adjusting based on performance or market changes?
And fifth,
Goals. How is your progress towards your financial goals? Based on this month's income, expenses, and savings, do you need to adjust your strategy or timeline for any of your goals?
those five cover the bases. But there was a crucial addition mentioned, something beyond the numbers.
Yes, and this is really insightful. Include your personal feelings and emotions about your finances during the month.
Feelings, like what?
Were you feeling anxious about money? In control? Proud of your progress? Maybe regretful about certain spending? Acknowledging these emotions is vital
Why is that so important?
because our financial decisions are deeply tied to our emotions.
Mm.
Understanding the why behind your actions, the stress spending, the impulse buys, the fear that stops you investing, is key to making lasting changes. The numbers tell you what happened. The emotions often tell you why.
So it's not just about earning more, it's about living proactively, steadily.
Not being controlled by money, emotionally or practically. This monthly summary habit, it's like training for your financial mindset. It builds self-awareness, which gradually builds long-term freedom.
We saw this transformation with Mr. Fuak, the IT professional in Da Nang.
Yeah, his story shows the long-term power of this simple habit. He used to earn, well, nearly $30 million a month.
But saved nothing, even borrowed from his wife sometimes, constant financial strain, despite the good income.
Right. His turning point was also a layoff back in 2018, forced to live on credit cards for 3 months. It created deep insecurity, but also a strong desire for real change.
So he started looking back.
He did. Opened a simple Excel spreadsheet, didn't need fancy software, and just started summarizing his finances each month.
What did he track in his summary?
The basics. Income, expenses, investments, progress on goals. But crucially, he also added notes about his emotional state regarding money that month. He dedicated just 1 hour at the end of every single month to do this review.
And what did he learn from doing this consistently?
He started seeing fascinating trends he'd never noticed before. Like, he realized he consistently spent more on eating out and non-essentials when work was stressful. It was a coping mechanism.
Linking behavior to triggers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He saw one quarter where his restaurant spending tripled during a high-pressure project. He also noticed that sometimes the transaction fees on his small stock trades were eating up a significant chunk of his gains.
Insights you only get by looking at the patterns.
Right. And he found that the months where he did a really thorough, honest summary were always followed by better financial decisions the next month. It created a positive feedback loop of self-correction.
What's his situation now after 6 years of this habit?
It's a total transformation. He still maintains the habit. He now has nearly 400 million VND in long-term investments, 0 debt, a solid 6-month emergency fund.
That's incredible, from borrowing from his wife to that level of security.
And he sees his 72 monthly summary, files those Excel sheets as slices of his own growth. His quote sums it up beautifully.
What did he say?
No need for fancy tools. Just need to look back each month to see I'm no longer blind. For me, the notebook keeps me steady when life shakes.
Keeps me steady when life shakes. That's the goal, isn't it? Okay,
Yeah.
so wrapping this all up, what does this mean for you listening?
It means this personal financial notebook, with these 7 core cages we've discussed: income, expenses, debt, investment, goals, funds, and a monthly summary, it really does form a complete system.
A living, sustainable, powerful, personal financial ecosystem. Every page plays a vital role. None are really optional if you want the full picture.
Exactly. It's interconnected. And when you commit to writing it down correctly and consistently,
You start seeing money differently.
you develop that holistic view. You see it as a system, not just random transactions. You start connecting the dots: how income fuels goals, how expenses impact risk, how debt affects progress.
It cultivates reflection rather than just running blindly on that financial hamster wheel.
Precisely. And financial freedom, as we've seen in these stories.
It's not just about a huge paycheck.
Not necessarily. It's fundamentally about the ability to see, to understand, and then to consciously direct where your money goes, month after month. That's control. That's freedom.
And the barrier to entry is low. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be rich to start.
Not at all. Every single number you write down helps you see a little bit clearer. Every expense you track helps you make slightly better choices. Every investment you record, win or lose, teaches you something.
And every summary you complete means you're choosing to live consciously, proactively, not just
You're
drifting.
designing your life.
So maybe in this world that's often obsessed with finding the next hot stock, getting rich quick, spending perfectly, maybe true mastery starts much simpler.
Maybe it starts with a simple, deliberate act of opening a notebook or an Excel file and just writing.
Because, as the source suggests, those who know how to write will know how to see.
And those who know how to see will know how to adjust.
And those who know how to adjust will eventually change their own financial story. So the question for everyone listening is, how will your financial story begin?